and we have learned how to calculate the moment generating function. And as we have seen, then it's not easy to deal with the normal distribution. So what we have done, we have converted the normal distribution into standard normal one, and from that definition we have calculated the moment generating function of the normal distribution. Correct, this is what we have done. Now from moment generating function, what one can calculate is, one can calculate the moments. Correct, but here we are not going to calculate the moments because it's not easy to deal with the integral part, because it's a complicated function. So what we are going to do is, we are going to learn actually what is the relation between the moments and how the values are coming. So if you talk about moments about mean, then all order all odd order movements about mean are 0, and they are given by the relation mu1, mu3, mu5, mu2 n plus 1 is equal to 0. Correct, it means whenever we are talking about the movements about mean and they are odd, means we are talking about mu1, mu3, mu5 or anyone, then they all are 0. And if we talk about the even movements means we are talking about mu2, mu4, mu6 and so on. So they are given by a relation that mu of qn is equal to 1 3 1 into 3 into 5, means it is the product of the odd order numbers, 1 3 5 7 9 like this. And it is multiplied by is sigma raised to power 2n. Okay, so this is what we have. So it means if I have to calculate mu2, the smallest mean of the even order, then how we will calculate? By putting the value of n as 1. By putting n as 1, we will get the value of mu2. Mu2 is equal to 1. Why we are getting only 1? Because if I put n as 1, see the last limit is coming as 2 into 1 minus 1. It means it will give me 1 here. So it is the only we have value 1. And with which sigma we have to multiply? Sigma raised to power 2n. So here n is 1, so I will get the value of sigma square. It means the mu2 value, the second moment about mean, is 1 into sigma square, this value. Similarly, if we talk about means sigma square, if we have to calculate mu4, then what is mu4? Mu4 means I will take here n as 2 when n becomes 2, because here the product is going on till the last limit 2n minus 1. So if I put n as 2, it becomes 2 to the 4 and minus 1, means it will give me the value as 3. Correct. And if again I put sigma raised to power 2n with n as 2, with n as 2 it will give me sigma raised to power 4. So the value of mu4 is 3 sigma 4. Right? So these values we have to learn, that whenever we are talking about the normal distribution, the odd order movements are always 0, and the even order movements we have learned the value of mu2 and mu4 is equal to 1. And with which sigma raised to power 2n is equal to 1. So this is what we have learned. And now we are going to learn Okay. I hope you can listen me now.
Yes, ma'am, we can listen you
Yes,
now.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, disconnected. Actually, my
Yes, ma'am.
voice coming through my
Yes,
mobile,
ma'am.
so that's a disruption.
Okay.
Chale, let's continue with the same. What we have learned is that here we have mu1, mu2, mu3, mu4, all the values that we have calculated coming from the movements. And if we talk about what they represented, so they are representing the skewness and kurtosis. As we have learned that mu1 is representing the mean, and skewness is given by the formula in form of movements as mu3 square by mu2 cube, and the coefficient of kurtosis is given by mu4 by mu2 square. And if we put the values of these movements, then what we will get is we get mu3 square by mu2 cube. See, here we have mu3, and since mu3 is 0, it means the value will be 0. And if we talk about mu2, so mu2 value is known to us as sigma square. So mu2 square means sigma 4. And if we talk about mu 4, so what is mu 4? Mu 4 is given by 3 sigma 4. That gives me the value on cancelling out 3. So if we have calculated these coefficient of skewness and kurtosis, so beta 1 is given by 0. This is for normal distribution, and beta 2 is given by 3. Now here till now we have not discussed, I'm not sure you are aware of all these things or not. So if we talk about what skewness and kurtosis is, so that's I have added some of the more slides to discuss about that. Correct. So in case of this normal distribution, what we can say is that there is no skewness. No skewness means we have beta 1 is 0, means the curve is symmetrically about the x-axis, about the mean we can say, and this we have already discussed, correct. And if we talk about kurtosis, so here kurtosis is 3, which is a measure to show that the curve is neither very sharp peaked nor flat, but it is a normal curve. That's why the distribution is also known as a normal. Correct. So here, as you can see in the last line, I have written that if these are the conditions, that which type of curves we have. But here, since we have not discussed, so let us start with the skewness and kurtosis type of thing. And for both of binomial and Poisson distribution, we have not discussed. But yes, you can calculate the coefficient and measure of skewness and kurtosis. Actually, I have used two words. We have not discussed, but let me tell you. What is the coefficient and the measure of skewness? There are two things. Some authors are saying only coefficient of skewness and coefficient of kurtosis are there to measure the pickedness and the symmetricity of the distribution. But there are two more terms which are known as a measure of skewness and measure of kurtosis. And if we talk about the measures, then the symbol that we use is gamma. Gamma 1 is the measure of skewness, which is given by under root of beta 1. So in this case, especially for normal distributions, in beta 1 is 0, so gamma 1 will also be 0. Otherwise, whatever beta 1 value is, you have to take its square root to find out the value of gamma 1. Similarly, if we talk about the measure of kurtosis, so measure of kurtosis is given by gamma 2, which is given by it's given by beta 2 minus of 3. And obviously, if beta 2 is 3, this gamma 2 value is 0, which depicts that we are getting a normal curve. Correct? Whatever things are getting on normal relates to the normal distribution, means there is no skewness, and we have a normal kurtosis. Normal kurtosis means the uh, curve is a bell-shaped curve, neither it is flat and nor it is peaked. Correct. So this we have already discussed. Now this is what I am talking about, that I have added the slides because already the PPT is shared with you. So today I have shared the updated one. So you can download the updated one and discard the last one because all things are included in this one. Correct. So here if we talk about skewness, so skewness is the measure of degree of asymmetry. Asymmetry means the data is symmetrically distributed or there is some skewness. Correct? So term skewness refer to the lack of symmetry. Again, here we are saying if skewness equals 0, as in case of normal distribution, if skewness is 0, then the histogram, or you can say the graph, is symmetrical about the mean. So these are the properties of the skewness. Here you can see we have the two diagrams. We are actually not going to discuss elaborately for the skewness, because skewness is to be calculated using either the mean median mode. We have one formula given by the Pearson, but actually it is not in our course. And skewness is also measured with the help of movements. As we have learned movements, that's why I have added this you must know what the skewness is. Okay, but if we relate it through mean and mode, so these are the conditions based upon which the skewness can be positive, negative, or 0. Correct? But I'm not elaborating it here. If you are interested, you can go through it. We are just interested for the normal distribution. So what we are saying is, in the normal distribution, there is no skewness. The data is symmetrically distributed. It means mean is equal to median is equal to mode. So this is a property that we have to learn. Okay, here you can see a diagram is coming in front of you, and what the diagram is, the diagram is having not a normal curve, because you see the mean, or you can say this black line is showing the symmetrically line, but the graph is plotted in a way that here we have on the negative side a long tail as compared to this positive side. Correct? So whenever, in simple word, if I have to make you understand, so normal curve means having the tail on both sides equally distributed, this type of. But when there is a long tail in the negative side, on the negative side the tail is long as compared to the positive, so it is known as a negative skewed data, or we can say that distribution is negative skewed, or the skewness is negative. Correct? So whenever we are working with the negative x-axis, the tail is more, so we can say the data is negatively skewed, or there is negative skewness. Similarly, when we talk about the positive side, there is a long tail. Here you can see the long tail is existing on a positive side. So we know what is the x-axis. So this x-axis side is positive. So if we talk about this, the tail is more on this x-axis. Correct? So what we can say here, the data is positively skewed. The skewness is on the right. Correct? So these are the types of skewness which we normally discussed, and it can be calculated using the value of beta 1. And how beta 1? We have seen beta 1 has a formula mu3 square by mu2 cube. It means if I am aware of what the movements are, so easily we can go through the skewness. That's why I've added this topic, because in your syllabus what I have seen is they are emphasized upon the movements and the movement generating functions. So if students know about what the movements are, so what these movements actually depict, you must know. So that's why the topic of skewness is there. So these are, again we have said too, that many distributions are not symmetric. And if we talk about the left or right tail is much as compared to the other one, it is said to be skewed. Now these are the formulas that we have talked about: movements and measure. Movement based upon measure of skewness beta 1, and coefficient of skewness gamma 1. Correct? So these are the formulas. In case you have been provided for any distribution the value of mu2 and mu3, then we can calculate all these things. Okay. Now the next thing that we can calculate from the movement is kurtosis. Kurtosis relates to the pickedness of the graph. Means whenever we are plotting some graph, how much peak the graph is, that will that will be known to me by calculating the movement, and hence the kurtosis. So you can relate the word kurtosis characterize the pickedness or flatness of the distribution as compared to the normal one, because normally, again as I told you, that normal distribution means a normal thing. Normal means we have a bell-shaped curve. But when the graph is either very much peaked or flat, then we have to say which type of kurtosis is there. So again, we have the type of kurtosis. When kurtosis is less than 0, we have a flat curve. Let me see if the graph is there. Okay, let's focus upon there here. The middle one is a mesokartic, this one, which is normal in curve, and we can say this is a bell-shaped curve, which is a normal curve. If we talk about the first one, it is highly peaked. You can see it is more than the most of the values are lying in the center and going to the top. Correct? It means here it is highly peaked. It is high and thin. So this type of curve is having a kurtosis known as leptokurtic. And if we are getting not a peak, the values are uniformly distributed, but we are getting a flat type of curve. So that we can say is a platykurtic curve. Correct? Let me repeat. There are three types of kurtosis actually we can say: leptokurtic, mesokurtic, and platykurtic. Leptokurtic means we are talking about thin peaked curve. Mesokurtic means the normal curve, and platykurtic means a flat curve. And if we talk about which type of kurtosis is there in the normal curve, so obviously normal should be a bell shape, means mesokurtic. And how we are going to calculate? Again, we have to find out the kurtosis measures and coefficients given by the gamma 2 and beta 2, and then we have to compare beta 2. If beta 2 is greater than 3, then it is leptokurtic. If it is less than 3, the flat one, then we have platykurtic, and if it is 3, then we have mesokurtic. Correct? So these are the added slides, as we have not covered this concept and it is very easy, so I said why not to do and discuss it, so that there is no chance of saying that we have not done this. When we know about the movements, then using these things we can easily calculate the value of the skewness and kurtosis. Now here I have written some of the things that is related to the kurtosis. The movements. That from movements, what we'll come to know regarding the shape of the distribution. So the first movement means mu1. Mu1 tells me the mean. Mu2 tells me the variance. Correct? And the third movement gives me the skewness. Now directly it's not giving either the variance nor the skewness. We know how to calculate the variance: ex square minus ex whole square. So here we are using the second movement. And if we talk about skewness, how we have calculated? We have calculated mu3 square by mu2 cube. Correct? Mu3 square by mu2 cube is giving me the skewness. So here we are using actually mu3. So that's why we are saying that third movement is showing the skewness. And similarly in the formula for kurtosis is mu4 by mu2 square. So we are using mu4. Mu2 is already being used. So here we say that whenever we are talking about mu4, so you pick the value of the kurtosis. Correct? And in between I have also written what it describes. So mean describe the central value, variance describe the dispersion of the values along the mean, then we have skewness, which describe the asymmetry, and kurtosis describes the wickedness of the data. Correct? So these are the things related to the movements, that how we are going to connect it with the shape of the data that we have framed as a graph, and the wickedness of the graph. So till now we have learned about the theory part of the normal distribution, and now it's time to start with the probabilities. Now be sure to have your pen and paper. Some of the examples are solved in the starting, and then we will see that how you can solve it, because these are very you can say interesting. If we will start doing it, then you will say yes, we are enjoying it. Let's see. Here we are saying use table to calculate these probabilities. What probability we are talking about? We are talking about probability of z less than equal to 1.36. So if we talk about here in between, we have the center value. Correct? So whenever we are talking about, we have to assume it to be 0, the central point, and this side, the right hand side will be positive 1, and this left hand side will be the negative one. Correct? Now, whenever we are looking for some probability, till now when we have done, we have written x. If you remember, for the binomial and Poisson distribution, we have taken what is the probability that x is less than equal to 1, less than equal to 2, or less than equal to whatever the number is. And what we have calculated, we have written them as a sum of the probabilities because it was a discrete probability distribution. But here we have a continuous one, so as such we can't find out the value. So we have to take help from the curve. And how? Let's see. Here we are saying less than equal to 1.36. Okay, let me do one more thing. Instead of going through this, now let me give you a hint or elaborate it according to me, because as per PPT I will not be able to discuss it. Let us talk about two or three things, then I will take you to the PPT. Whenever we are looking for, and take it as a normal curve because I'm not be able to make more clear than this. We are just going to learn about which area we are looking for. Correct? Let me take 4 areas. Correct? If we are talking about what is the probability that z is less than equal to 1, correct? We have to mark the area. Then we are looking for what is the probability that z is, here we have less than equal to 1, then we will say greater than equal to 1. If we talk about um, greater than equal to 1. This is one case. Another case, let me take probability that z is, let me take greater than equal to -1, and the probability that z is less than equal to -1. I have just taken a simple value 1 because we know, as we have discussed, that maximum value of z can go from 3 point something, which is never exactly correct because it is going to the infinity on both the sides. Correct? It's not joining the x-axis and there is no such point that we can directly say. So here if we talk about what is the probability of z less than equal to 1. So we know here some about on the axis, somewhere about, if it is total 3, then here somewhere we have 1, and we are looking for probability that z is less than equal to 1. So if I mark a line here and see what do you mean by less than equal to 1. So according to me, what I can let you know, the whole area on the left hand side is giving me which is less than or equal to 1. Is it clear? If any doubt you are getting now, you have to let me know, because otherwise it will be hard when we are going to the questions to discuss it again and again. Right? Less than equal to 1 means whatever the portion of the area is falling to the left of the 1. Correct? Similarly, if I again take here in the second one, let me take here, it's not correctly made actually. Let me take, this is my 1 because it has to be, or let me do, if I can take an eraser. Okay, let me redraw it. Let me take, it's actually still not symmetric, but let us assume that here we have somewhere 1. Correct? Now if you are saying probability that z greater than equal to 1, where we are saying less than equal to 1, now we are saying greater than or equal to 1. Greater than equal to 1 means this is our 1 more than this area. So what we are looking for? We are looking for the area outside this 1. Correct? So here if we see, as we have learned that what will be given to us, the given area will be the area from 0 to z. And we know the area under the curve is 1. And it is known to us. So this will be given to us if I look for the appendix, that what is the value from 0 to 1. Correct? So in the first case, how I will calculate? I will calculate by adding this area whose value will be given to us from the appendix, this one. If you can see 0 to 1. Hope so you are looking at it. Along with, I will add this outside area. And we know this is our 0.5. Correct? So this is how from the given value, if we add 0.5, so that is the total area. Similarly, if we look here, then the value that is known to me is from this 0 to 1. That will be given to us from the table in the second graph I am working on. And if I look for this outside area, so again the total is 0.5. So if I just subtract this area from 0.5, it will give me this outside area, because we know on one side it is 0.5. Is it clear? I'm just trying because it is the first time we are doing with the areas. Obviously it's not easy, but yes, when we will practice and go through the examples, you will do it. Okay, let's go to the third part. Here I have written z greater than equal to minus 1. Now what the change is, instead of 1 I have taken minus 1. Now minus 1 will be on left hand side. It means somewhere here I have minus 1, and what we are saying, z greater than equal to minus 1.
मैम इधर की तरफ जाएगा.
Pardon?
मैम राइट हैंड साइड की तरफ जाएगा.
Right hand side, correct. Means here talk about greater than equal to minus 1, so we are talking about this whole area from this minus 1 to whatever the whole side is, this whole will be the area. Okay, now the first thing is how we are going to calculate it. It is known to us that this half area is 0.5, on the right hand side of x-axis under the curve. This is 0.5. So we need the value of 0.5 plus the area from 0 to minus 1. Correct? So as we know that the curve is symmetric about the y-axis. So what we can say, the area which is, let me take this value is x. So it will be easy to understand. If this is x, 0 to 1 is x, so it means the same area is symmetrically distributed on this side. So from 0 to minus 1 will also be x. So here if I write down, the area will be 0.5 and plus of x. Here if we have written this was 0.5, and if we calculate this area, it will be 0.5 total area and minus this x, minus of x. Here if we talk about in the first one, if it is x we have taken, so it is 0.5 plus x. Correct? So half is means that half of the area under the curve. Okay, now let's do the last one. In the last one what we are saying, less than equal to minus 1. It means now if we have minus 1 here, so we are talking about this area, less than equal to minus 1. So again, this value from 0 to minus 1 is known to me is x, because 0 to 1 is same as 0 to minus 1 on both side of the origin, or we can say the y-axis, because it is symmetrically. So 0 to 1 is same as 0 to minus 1, and we know the area of one side is 0.5. So what I will do again, it is again the same area as 0.5. This is 0.5, and if I subtract this, 0.5 minus x. Correct? So depending upon the situation, what you are getting, which is required, you have to calculate using the probability curve. Actually, let's go back to the show. So here we have that you have to calculate z less than equal to 1.36. So here we have written if this is 1.36, less than equal to means we are talking about this whole. Correct? So here if we look at the table, this value is coming from 0 to, it's a second part. Here this value will come as 0.4131. You can check it from your tables. 4131, and if I add this 0.5, this is 0.5 on the left side, so the total area will be 0.9131. Correct? Similarly, the second part we are saying is, let me remove the ink, z greater than 1.36, greater than 1.36. Either I can use 0.5 thing that we have learned, and if we can say that area less than 1.36 is 0.9131, as we have seen here. If this area we have calculated is 0.9131, this whole red one, So what is this remaining area which is being asked in the second question? So obviously we have to subtract it from 1 because it is 1 minus the whole area, correct? Or here we can say we have taken the concept of 0.5 also. So in both of the ways, always you get the same value. Hope so you're getting it. Because in normal distribution, this is the most important thing which takes time. But once you understand, it is just you can say kids play, that we are taking the total as 1, 0.5 on both of the side, and then we have just to concentrate that it's lying on which side, less than equal to, greater than equal to, or whatever, correct? So this is the third part. Actually, might be the fourth part is shown earlier because of the animation is not there. Let's see this part. Here we are saying the area from minus 1.2 to 0, correct? Means if here we have the symmetric line in between, we talk about area from minus of 1.2 from a negative to 0. So obviously it can be written from the table itself that it is the area from 0 to 1.2 because it is symmetric. So there is no question of writing out that we are getting a negative value, how to do. So it is from 0 to 1.2, whatever the area is, it's written over here, and it is 0.3849. Now the last one is that what is the area which is being shown here from minus of 1.2 to this 1.36. So what we are doing, we are adding the area that we have calculated from 0 to this 1.2 and from 0 to 1.36. So we have to add the two areas to get the final. So till now, if there are any doubt, let me know, because otherwise when we are doing questions, you will take your time. Is there any doubts? If not, then it's good. Be sure to practice today's work, because here we have just discussed about how to calculate the areas, and in the questions when we are going to do, then you have to utilize your knowledge of the
Can you
areas and to
questions?
calculate.
Ma'am, can you send more questions, ma'am, PDF?
Himanshu, any doubt, beta?
No, ma'am, just one thing. Can you send more questions, PDF? Questions.
It is just the starting. We are still actually not calculating the values.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
When we work upon, you can see a lot of examples will be there. It is the same thing. Let me skip it. Let me skip all this. Okay. From here we have the questions. Let's go for this. Let me go for the last slide also. Here it is just showing that how we are going to work with. Whenever we are going to work with the normal distribution, the non-standard one, what we have seen that in the normal distribution, non-standard normal distribution, we have the mean in the center. It is distributed along mean, and when we have converted it to the standard normal, then the mean is 0, means now the distribution is distributed along 0. And which formula we are working with, we are going to take z is equal to x minus mu by sigma, and this is the formula we have to take in order to calculate all other things, correct? Afridi is saying to share this recording. Obviously I will do. The last recording I have shared, I think yesterday. Till now whatever the pendency was there with me, and Shubham, thanks to you that you have let me know that which recordings have still not be uploaded. So I have uploaded, I think, in the morning. So if data will be there, obviously I will upload the today's recording so that it will help us in doing the numericals. Correct? So here the next question which is coming is how to find the probabilities of normal random variable. Correct? The question will never be given to you in the form of standard one. What we have to do is, here see what we are saying, to find the probability of the normal random variable with mean mu and the standard deviation sigma. What we have to do, we have to standardize it. And which formula we are going to use? We have this formula. We have to learn this formula whenever we are going to do the numericals. We are going to convert the normal distribution to the standard normal one by taking z is equal to x minus mu by sigma. And finally, we have written that we have to use the appropriate table. But normally, whenever an examiner is being asking the question or you are doing from the book, then almost in every question the value of z will be given to you. Okay? So let us start with an example, and this is the only example we are going to do because we have learned a lot of new things today. So I think it's enough for today. You know? We have to do practice of all these things so that we can start doing by our own the example based upon the normal distribution. Actually, for tomorrow, I have created one more PPT for the next unit, but first we will finish it. I will upload the new PPT, but we'll continue with that and then go for the next unit. Okay, let's go for this. What we are saying is x is a normal distribution with given mu. Mu means mean and standard deviation 2. Correct? Sigma square means variance, sigma means standard deviation. So what we have to find out? We have to find out probability of x greater than 7. Now, if you have just seen how we have calculated, so what we have done there, we have converted, or we can say till now when we have talked about the areas, we are taking z, and here what we have x. Correct? So what the first step is, we are going to take probability of x greater than 7 into probability of z greater than this. Now what is this? This is our x. Let me write down here x minus mu divided by sigma. So what is our x? X is this value. We have to take this value, whatever the numerical value is given as x, which is 7, minus of mu. Mu is given to us as 5, so we have written 5 as such, divided by 2. And in this way, you will calculate the value. And let me show you how the value is coming. When we are saying calculate probability of x greater than 7, and how we are converting, we are taking, okay, let us subtract mu from both sides. So x minus mu is greater than 7 minus mu. Value is known to us, mu is 5, so I have written 5. Now if I divide it by sigma, so here I have written expression, and what is sigma? Here sigma is 2. So what we can see is here the expression x minus mu by sigma become z. So directly in the examples, you can write down Z. There's no need to showcase this all because it is known to each and everyone. Correct? So this is what we have. Directly we have written that probability of x greater than 7 is equal to probability of Z greater than this. But if you want to do it by your own and explore it, so this is what we have done. No? So here now it becomes what is the probability of Z greater than 1. So again, if we talk about greater than 1, so which area we are looking for? We are looking for the area on this right hand side. Correct? We are looking for this area. So in terms of x, it was 7 and x, but in terms of z, it becomes 1 and z. So here we have probability of z greater than 1 means, here again, if this area is known to me as 0.3413, we are looking for this outside area. So I have to subtract the area from 0.5, and that is giving me the answer 0.1587. Okay, so this is how we are calculating the value of probability in case of normal distribution or any continuous distribution. Correct? I think we have to stop here. If any doubts you have got till now, you can ask me, because otherwise it will be a lot of things that we have to discuss. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I think more examples are there. So we will start with the examples tomorrow. Correct? If any doubts which you have, you can ask me. Let me stop the recording.